There, we are live now. Hey everybody, thank you for joining Blab2Learn, and we have an amazing guest today. Welcome, Vineet. So glad you could join us. And say just to start off a brief intro. I am Malhar Barai. I work with Tech Mahindra as group manager for their media and entertainment vertical, and I lead the practice side of the things at Tech Mahindra. So this is about me. So over to you, if you can just start off with a short intro. Thank you.
Hello, Malhar. It's great to be here with you, having this discussion. So glad Falguni ma'am asked me to join you guys. It's my first time on this platform, and I'm just trying to discover what's where. So it just took a little while getting around. Hi, I am Vineet. I work at an agency called PhD, stands for Patterson Housewell Durban. We're a network agency around the globe. In India, we work on the Unilever business, which is the team that I on. I have handled their digital buying and strategy for about 2 years now, before which I worked at another digital agency, and I also worked in digital for the government of Gujarat at the beginning of my career. Before which I was at Micah, where Falguni was one of my teachers. So that's a short and brief introduction about my career history. I've always worked in digital, and it's something that I've kind of worked towards being good at with a passion. So, and it's kind of landed me on my feet. So, as someone who's gotten around working in digital from very early days, it's heady times right now for our industry, at least. So,
Right. It is. Hey, thanks, Vineet. Thanks for starting off on a pleasant note. Yeah, digital is the in thing right now. So, just before one, so
sorry, I lost you. I think we lost Malhar. Sure. Yeah, he's come back, and I feel much better now. No worries at all. So I work, like I mentioned, I work at an agency called PhD. We handle digital strategy, media buying, media planning, and a lot of other mobile and tech stuff for them across all the 40 brands. So it's a huge business. We're about a team of 45. I used to lead media buying for them for about a year, and now I've recently moved back to the digital strategy team, which is grander than it sounds. It's basically, I mean, the way we approach strategy is it's just a simple logical plan to approach things. So I kind of put down some notes because it's just the way I put some notes down to talk as talking points for what I wanted to say. I want to start with talking about how it is an exciting time really for brands on digital, right? It's not just that the consumer is changing, it's also how brands interact. It's also what their expectations from brands are on digital. That's completely seen a sea change over the next 10 years or so, right? It's moved to multiple screens, it's moved to multiple responses, multiple devices. We're not just talking about creating strategy to sell more. It's all about creating opportunities for brands to have more meaningful roles to play with the digital technology and media at their disposal in a consumer's life. The interesting thing is the evolution of that, as we've seen, and digital strategy in itself is hugely evolutionary in its own right. Starting from a lot of brands wanting extremely social media driven likes-based strategies about 2 years ago, to brands now looking at digital holistically in their basket of marketing and assigning budgets way in advance, looking at digital planning and strategy in a big holistic way, right? So from being the last slide on most presentations or most strategy presentations to becoming the front runner or the top of mind medium for marketers to be planning at, it's a sea change in, like I mentioned, in the expectations that consumers have from brands. Earlier, advertising in the 90s, in the 80s, India, when TV was growing, would be about top share of voice, share of mind. Those would be the metrics that we would that advertisers or marketers would look at while trying to measure the impact of advertising. Today, we're inundated in a sea of metrics. There's CPM, CTR, VTR. There's a host of acronyms that our marketers are inundated with, right? So what does that? Where does that leave brands and digital, and what is the role for digital today in the marketer's basket? Am I going too fast? Cool, thanks. Right. So it's going beyond just communicating the value of brands and sort of become more of a case of enabling value for the consumer, which is what digital can do for you. A couple of examples out of work that we've done that I want to talk about. I hope you guys have heard of something called Kan Khajura Tesan. If you haven't, please go on and Google it. It's it's a piece of work that we're very proud of in PhD India and globally. Last year, I think it won 4 Kan Golds out of. Hey, hi Malhar.
Hi. Sorry, my browser crashed, so I I had to start up things again.
No, I'm sorry. I just started talking.
Hey, no problem. I was kind of listening on the other device, so it's okay.
Good. So I'll just go on. It's Kan Khajura Tesan. KAAN. I'll just type it out. Right.
I can share the link. I guess I have that. Yeah. Okay. Double A.
Right. So, like I was saying, Kan Khajura Tesan last year won 4 out of 5 golds awarded at Cannes in India. So it's a piece of work that we're very proud of. The thought came from what I mentioned earlier, the expectations that consumers have from what digital can enable for them, right? What we did with Kan Khajura Tesan was a very simple idea. Mobile radio has been around ever since VAS has been around, right? Mobile companies offer mobile radio. We realized that mobile radio has not been a great success in India, very simply because people don't want to pay for that kind of entertainment. We also realized that there is great value in engaging your consumer and asking and having them express their desires and opinions in the form of data that you can collect from mobile, be it listening behavior, be it buying behavior, all of that. Mobile is a great repository for data. We realized that instead of looking at value from the consumer in rupee terms for buying mobile radio, what would be the response of free mobile radio offered to the consumer on a purely opt-in basis, right? We conducted a few missed call campaigns as tests for brands like Wheel, which is huge in India, right? Wheel, it's a brand that's been around for as long as we've all seen. Yeah, we did. It's a system that's been around. It's a brand that's been around for a while, but it's a brand that doesn't have any higher SEC, so to speak, consumers. So they're not available on the internet. How do you get such a brand to interact with consumers in a meaningful way? We found that mobile radio, a missed call based mobile radio system, be a very effective way to engage those consumers. Starting from about 2012, when this was carried out, uh, we've reached about 40 million users on Kan Kajura Station itself, which is a huge consumer base for a brand like we or like Lux to have. They have micro consumer segments that can be created out of the data we keep on collecting, because we've got about 8 to 10 million people talking to us, listening to our entertainment every month. We deliver great content to them. We've tied up with movies like Singham. We recently tied up with Bajrangi Bhaijaan. So it's always content that the consumer is looking for.
Okay, Vineet, so just there's a question that has come up. So it's like the gentleman is asking if you won the Cannes Lions for the mobile radio system.
Yes, we did, sir. We won Cannes Lions for media and for the identity that we created, that Low India had created.
Okay. So I was just going back to I was just going through your LinkedIn profile in the morning. So probably what caught my eye there was say your mobile to radio kind of coverage. So is this the same thing that you are talking about? Say TV to mobile to covering the radio part of it.
So this is the mobile radio campaign that we've done. It's an ongoing campaign that we have. There is other technology though that is TV to mobile, where your mobile phones are listening to ads that are playing on your TV and prompting banners on your phone. But that's entirely different technology.
So coming on the strategy part of it, so how do you go about planning the entire campaign? So I guess let me go back to the basics part of it. So
sure.
Say if you want to cover the basics, so how do you start off with and what would be finally the components that you would be measuring your ROI on?
Sure. I was just going to get to that. So we looked at what the consumer was doing. We realized what condition our brands and the business were in, where the challenges for them in marketing lay. And we explored what technology was available to us to reach the consumer. So these are the three pillars that we basically looked at, which is consumers, what platforms are available or technology is available to reach them, and what is the brand and the business challenge. So we realized the consumers are using mobile radios. They simply have an aversion to paying, which was our insight. That can we do something for free for them? The platform or technology that we saw, and we created a custom backend to the whole technology that we deploy content on, which was very simple. It was the missed call is another one of the very Indian things that we do, right? We asked users to give us a missed call and we called them back. So it was a very simple technology, something that exists, that has existed in India for a long time, but it was very simple technology enabled with great content at the back end that was refreshed weekly. It never went stale. It never became uninteresting. And we've seen the metrics rising similarly to reflect that. So those were basically the three platforms.
Okay. And okay, so there are two more questions that came in by the time you answered this. So the first one from Falguni. So it was like, any interesting campaigns you did during your stint at Government of Gujarat?
Right. So I just read the three questions. I'll finish with the budgeting of the strategies, and then can I move to Government of Gujarat immediately after that? Because I was immediately going to talk about efficiency and measurement in terms of budgeting.
Oh,
so sorry.
Cool. Go ahead.
I'll come back to you. Come back to the Gujarat one. Sorry. So it's about establishing what kind of scale you want to reach, right? When I spoke about KKT, and it's a very pertinent example for budgeting because it's very expensive to deliver free calls to people. Like, I mean, continuously, if I'm calling, say about a base of 8 to 10 million people for about 15 to 20 minutes a month, that's a huge number. So budgeting really depends on what kind of scale you've got. and what mix you're choosing. So if your consumer is available to you more efficiently on, say, display or on video, you've upweight those and build frequency using other media. So it's where you plan the bulk of your reach and where you uh, build frequency and balance that with the scale you're looking to achieve. Sorry.
Okay.
The government of my time at the government of Gujarat was very interesting. We did a lot of public service campaigns. It was a very interesting time because a government was doing digital in a very good way. We did great campaigns for Beti Bachao. We created great content for the Krishi Mahotsav, which is which is the agriculture promotion program for the government. I had a very interesting opportunity during Sauno Saath Sauno Vikas, which was Mr. Modi's every district tour during the last year of his chief ministership. And I had an opportunity to live tweet for him where he was visiting 3 or 4 villages in the same day. So it was a lot of interesting work that I got to do there.
So it was more of a public PR thing that you did with government of Gujarat. So would that be the right way to put it?
It was a role that was largely about digital and digital PR. We were involved with disaster management teams to create some solutions for them in terms of how they maintain their websites and stuff, which was also interesting work because it's very intense and it's very data heavy. So that was a very good, that was great exposure as well.
Okay, so now we have Arnab Podar who has a question. How can mobile radio be available in areas beyond outreach of media? I'm not sure if that is the question that you would want to ask. Does that come under the planning and strategy part of it?
I'll just quickly try and answer that question. I'm not sure if I'm best, but I mean, in India, it's always our TV, our newspaper, or our wall if there's outdoor, right? But literally every single person, even in the heartland of the country, carries a cell phone. So if you've got a mobile radio reaches you. I mean, that's the best way I can answer that question, I think.
Okay, so there's again a question Jay is asking. So I think we can understand the solution, but will you talk about the planning the digital strategy? So how would you like to take up that one?
Sure. Right. Okay. The question is, if you'd like to ask how to spread the word, get advertisers, or whatever. Okay. I'm not sure what you're looking for. I mean, media is always available to get you to spread the word. If you're looking at a specific objective, say getting more visitors to your website, getting more app downloads, choosing the right media mix and choosing the most impactful creative is where it begins and ends, really. There's great examples for us in the gaming industry these days, especially because there are so many games that are available for people to download and choose from. And quite simply, it's choosing the right creative with the right media and targeting, and ensuring that your calls to action land very well. I think that's the essence of planning great digital campaigns. I mean, it's simple to say within a sentence, but there are nuances. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm assuming this is specifically about Kan Khajura Tesan, or that's what you're getting?
Yeah, let us pick up one of the campaign, and then probably you can tell it on how you chop the strategy part of it.
Cool. So I'll take Kan Khajura Tesan and I'll take the work that we did for Fruity. One is very mobile heavy, which is an entirely different medium in this country, and one is more social video display heavy, which is a different screen altogether. today, when you're planning for different screens, you have to keep this in mind. So this is a distinction that I try and make as far as digital strategy goes. Planning for mobile on Kankajura Station, it was simply the three insights that I just discussed. Mobile usage was on the rise. Mobile penetration in India is 90% plus. We're talking about reaching consumers and delivering a consumer need that is unmet right now. So that was the consumer insight. The brands that we were dealing with were mass brands. They are the Lux, the Wheel, the Sunlights of the world, for whom moving even a couple of basis points on their market share means great growth in absolute revenues. Understanding what different media can be used for people who are not available on TV or on print. Mobile was the device that we identified. So marrying all of this together and is where the essence of the strategy for KKT came. Right? The great content that we were providing, yes, absolutely, we had to prove to them. It's a cost, like I was going about in a long-winded way earlier. It is a very expensive proposition. So if we were not able to prove to them, and that's the best part of digital, you can measure immediately. Within 2 weeks' time, we could go back and report to Close Up and to Sunlight that we had moved their metrics simply by retargeting the people who were listening to content. That's it. That's all we did. People who called in, we had their phone numbers. We retargeted them with SMSs. It was as simple as that to do. Later, we've used this data pool to steal market share away from our competitors, not just build on our loyal consumer basis, but steal share away from our competitors. We did basic profiling between questions. So if there was a 15 or 20-minute content module, and this is still mobile radio we're talking, this 15 or 20-minute content module had about 3 or 4 questions built in, which was as simple as, do you own a color TV? Do you own a fridge? What kind of fridge do you own? Or do you use toothpaste? What kind of toothpaste do you use? And simply targeting people who used competitor brands, we were able to move market share to the tune of 40% over 6 months' time.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. So coming back, say again, I am going a little on the basic side. So any campaign that failed, probably say something that did not give you the expected result. I wouldn't say failed, but didn't give you the expected result. So how did you go about handling such a campaign?
One of the campaigns that didn't give us expected results was it was a content association. There was a movie that had come out earlier this year called Bombay Velvet.
Right.
And one of us recently launched an India-specific variant called Signature. Right. So they wanted to tie up with Bombay Velvet. We chose a brand new platform, which was Hotstar. So in our heads, while we were crafting the strategy, it was a winning strategy. A brand that's looking for great reach on a new platform that's exploding, tying up with a film that's Anurag Kashyap, who's a big deal when he's launching a movie. And it's loaded with stars, and it's a very stylish film. And we tied up with it. We created some content with Karan Johar doing a special coffee with Karan on Hotstar.
Right.
But the views just didn't come in. We were expecting 10 million views. We ended up with about 2 million views. And it was difficult to explain. But now we see it's a gamble when you have one-off content that you're creating. It's a gamble. We've seen great results for acts with their associations with IPL. We've seen great results that come in on their associations with cricket even later in the year. But this was just something that didn't work. And all of us later the film also didn't work, which explained a lot. But it was just something that you have to take on your chin and be like, yeah, we miscalculate. But this is something that happens.
Right. So while you are answering that, again, 3 more questions have come up. So we have last, say, few minutes. I would say probably 5 more minutes. If you can pick up one of the question or 2. So again, one from Jay. So did you have to prove to them that you could move their market share or reach who they were interested in?
I think that's an older question. I just asked him. I just discussed that.
All right.
The next question.
Next one, Ashish Vashikar, very dear friend of mine, the XPR guy for Tech Mahindra. So, how critical was profiling in developing this strategy?
Absolutely critical. We've profiled 100 million people by now. In an absolutely new project called Consumer 360. We have great information about consumers in India. It was absolutely critical.
Oh, cool. Again, Arnab has one more question. Was it predictive in the initial stage when content was prepared?
I wouldn't say it was predictive then. It was an old platform. We did our research about content the old-fashioned way by going to people's houses and finding what they were listening to. But no, it wasn't predictive in the initial stages.
Okay. So, yeah, we are almost towards the fag end of the entire conversation. So, any final thoughts that you would like to share, or how? Probably okay. I'll just ask this one. So, if people are interested in getting into a career on digital strategy, what do you think they should be looking at right now?
They should really be looking at a lot of websites that are covering a lot of this information. Mashable is always a great place to start. The internet is a great place to learn about the internet, I would say. So if you're interested in digital strategy, I mean, just get on the internet and Google it. It's a great place to start. But otherwise, go to Mashable. That's always a good place to start.
Fantastic. And the final one. So before you go, where should people follow you?
I'm Calvinith on Twitter, and I'm also on LinkedIn, and yeah, and on Facebook, Vineet Kanabar on Facebook.
Okay, so
you can write to me at vineetkanabar@gmail. I think that's it.
Okay, Vineet Kanabar. Okay, I will cover that on the notes as well. So probably if you have missed it, the notes on YouTube will have it. So yeah, that is it from our end. And before we go, we have a small Facebook group. If you would like to join us, here is the link to that group. Join us over the next 7 days. We will be there talking about Vineet. So Vineet, be ready for a few more questions over the week. And that is it. So see you again next week. And thanks, Vineet. Thanks so much for joining us and spending your valuable 30 minutes. It was fantastic learning.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, sir. Thank you all for listening.
Cheers. Bye. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you guys. Bye and see you again next week.